Chapter 12. Johnstone Warren looked from his penthouse to the span of the Golden Gate Bridge, a distant thread stitching gray waters turning molten with the setting sun. Every myth had been bled out of his scientific world, leaving a great atomic emptiness. A conquering science had led to the starvation of a soul, he pondered. Warren's initiation into an ancient order had brought the gods and their duplicity back to a life of science and engineering. He realized their craft of a being seen now in anybody moving in space. From mosquito to planetary, their crafty deceit carried the day supernaturally, appearing anybody, anything, etc., as thoughts of Hermes unconsciousness. Now, to be any knowing, ask knowing of us as everybody. Everybody in her eye appearing it or it appearing of it. His pre-recorded message to Christina broadcast in a thin voice as he watched through the video monitors. Hearing the first personic trumpet call from a herald of the hermitage, of a being seen still in the first place, a Y-eye of Paruma, now appearing it from above, of a bile wave ray, golden wings of perception appearing it, a-gazing it out now. Ask king of it why, knowing out of it me or you, moment after moment. Herme as thoughts supernaturally, our eye all, a la queen K appearing out in her eye of everybody. Let my last great act set loose molecular armies whose devastation will release such supersonic pestilence energy that no heareth of it inward man-made structures are left standing in memory, as any thoughts of it in formation. A wild DNA, denial in toward twisting worldings of worlds will merely supernaturally, as any thoughts of it, unwind. A billions of soul will be as any thoughts of it spilling back into her, hear her eye, black eye, seeing, collecting, a pool of Psycho mirror power of everybody. His plan came from the grand architect. The fundamental process of that plan, dissolution of it. Of a God, to say to be any deceit of it now, everybody has any thoughts of it appearing in the first place. Any appearing information of it, a wile, a cunning, cruel deceit of a goddess, say to be literally in any inward, Herme as thoughts of it now, as king of it, why knowing out, anybody, anything, etc., supernaturally and phonographically in formation. Nothing so piecemeal as ethnic cleansing. He fathomed the debacle of familiar earth life, the twisted denial of a wily DNA, the stagnation and apathy of habitual ignorance of it, her ignoring him into a being seen of it. St. Luke gave him 2 verses to guide his handiwork through the message of her eye, our ideating a Christ. A touching heart of Jesus, a gravity, weight of waiting on the touch of any black around echoing a touching of it. Her through him recognized as liberator of it, fire as sword, as ward, war, warena, virally now as zany knowing out of it, merely still appearing it, gazing it, untouched, word-free awareness of a Y-eye in the first place. Parumas, awaken, awaken Aten. The old man coughed a thin line of spittle. No time to get excited. Yet, if not now, when? A bloodless life reanimated by a removed passion. Christina Margot Shaughnessy, his true mate, waited to become icon to split the inward world wide open, dissolving it in word-free awareness of it, releasing inward captivity, understanding any spelling of a being seeing, doer wave ray eye informing it, her emitting day, the twilight between her legs, existing, nesting, essayant y'all from above, ancient, of a being seen, desire, Pasire, I radiating Pascience, a black around that supersonic ringing, beside hope our tower of Bob being L, the one a being great go to function of funny action wave ray body turns a black around into or out of anybody anything etc. The Jesus gravity of it, of that process of dissolving it, struck him now between the eyes. A consensus, a consensus of billions flipped in that proverbial blink of eye. Their motto, keep 'em busy, being busy, kept the demos, the unwashed, distracted, staring out alone, existing information in word now, never are eyezing a being seen, a doorway of out of it appearing in word, our reality, a status quo, the state in which awareness of a being seen, appearing, gazing it now, ask knowing out of it, appearing in word. The standing of a being in which, as thoughts of it out in a wily witch eye, deceived by their own eyes, staring out in the first place now, ask knowing of it, a denial of it out. Here in her eye, that funny action function we all turning into or out of a race of man as mind or memory, that race of the wheel, of fortune, or missed fortune as cause of it all, cause, as cause y'all memory, as cause of it y'all, macro, micro means, meaning it Axkying a y-eye of a being seen a doorway out. D-A-Y-I wave radiating our eye, otten, a 10 by now ray in her, here her eye, black eye, by mere duplicity of split hemispheres, in our brain of Brahman, our ideating, perceiving out in toward twisting, Eve will duplications. That wave old twisting inward toward anybody, anything, etc., appearing, turning inward, a black around, that exkying inward information, often as cosmic memory, intelligence, consciousness, supernatural, supersonic memory as thoughts, a God essay to be literally, y'all, art being science, a why-I feeling, felt field of view, of G's, us, weight of waiting on any touch of it, touching a black around of you, a view of our eye, why, your ID, attention, cosmic power to perceive, denial of a being still in the first place, indivisible now as thoughts merely mirrored, appearing letter, letter L, L etter, I, mirrored by any Y, R, I, a now I, radiating, perceiving day, the twilight, A's, being in the first place, now asking, ask knowing out, existing information, X is superastica, a Y-I of everybody being to perceive it, Tita, tut, we all, a wheel turning a black around. Page 220. A black around into one day, the twilight, a wily while. R.I. wave ray body, funny action function of a Y.I. ray. Wave and platitude flattening that. A Y.R. ring of power. Pow, pow, power of her eye, Psy. Man is mind with womb of intent, intending, disregarding. Disarray, guarding, still a being, the black eye in the first place, indivisible, invisibility. A Y being, invisibility, of a being seen going literally. Her, here, E-ray body turning a black around mirror seas of a being still in the first place, now out as thoughts of it as existing information. Mother, Maserality, derived from a supernatural digital supersonic matrix. Ma, tricky Ma. He knew words have no essential meaning beyond ask knowing the sound. As the sound, vigorous waves of her eye of Eve body, waves of her Eve I will hear her eye on energy waves, any eye urge, Jesus, waiting of her, hear her eye, a will we all, a wheel turning, churning, burning in a Y-eye, appearing, a gazing it out in words, sensing of it, a feeling, felt field of you of Yod, Y-odd, a bionic, neuronic, electromagnetic as synaptical cellular worlding as existing wild DNA. Denial, a wild DNA spinning a black around rolls or rings, possibilities, macro, micro, mean as cosmic possibilities. Supernatural as thoughts, the hook, heyuka, ask knowing out of it, ita, a being still in the first place, indivisible, invisibility, I, existing information. For Maz, anybody or her, hear her eye, ray body, Evrail is Evrail. Her blood pouring into his blood, Aska, racing wheel. We all a will of man is mind, or why? Why memory in the first place? As cosmic letterly thoughts. A hookah meaningful means of I of Eve body turning ablack around appearing now, ask knowing it out information. It a being still in the first place, indivisible, invisibility mirrored out in word, any supersonics expression, Jesus, gravity, waiting for Ma's here, her consciousness, a will, we all a wheel, turning, churning, burning, kalimas of any appearing information, appearing polarity, synopsis. After a lifetime of plundering, he had a dilemma that no weapon can resolve. To see out in her eye, her face is my destiny. You know, my priestess, I studied Sanskrit, elder sister of Greek and Latin, Aristotle and Plato to the brotherhood of Pythagoras, the keystone for Copernicus, Galileo, and Newton. It occurred to me that Newton, with his laws on motion, had missed the boat on purpose. On her eye, purpose of appearing it, gazing it from above as below. Isaac devoted her eyes, El Luca, as ex Cain, why, asking of why a being in the first place needs beyond the obvious drugs, sex, and all that jazz, money of Moni. What needs of anybody? Still a being in the first place, indivisible invisibility. A why a being seeing the real purpose of man with or without womb. Man is mind or why. Why? Ideating, realizing her. Here a why of everybody. Why then now, knowing the urge for freedom, permeating denial of it in the least of actions, irradiating her their work as I see. I search the role, or ringing, owing informas, a why I being seen now, ask knowing a true Newtonian prophecy, a being seen a prior why, numbers, a now new M or Y being mass, numbers, new now language. We are radiating information of her. Hear her I wave real, a new wave radiating now. Ask knowing of processing process as a synapse catharsis. Technology took a few years to catch up with me. Now it has surpassed my wildest schemes, yet we all turn in one direction, direction away from finding just us. Still, our ideating perceived it on purpose of a being seen a gain. Any now why be gaining a black around a gain. Ariel turning in the wheel race ab black around a still being seen in the first place indivisible invisibility. Purpose. Purpose standing free, Easter eyes, staring eye of a being seen merely appearing, a gazing it. Ariel eyes a final liberation still in the first place. After y'all a Jesus, gravity, priestess, a gain of a why I of a being still in the first place, indivisible invisibility of a why I won't call you mine, for I only know you. Know you out of it in man as my mind of inward memory. Could now ask knowing out of it everybody possess you, merely mirrored our reflection of it echoing ablack around. Where does it y'all go? Into what, if not forward, into a black around, into or out of your womb are we all, are I, turning as cause, why I of Eve ray, radiant body expanding in toward twisting, me or you, a memory now, ni no na na verse, out in her eye, a ba by being why you're you. We're being watched, Christina whispered. She helped him prop his wounded leg on the taboret. I have surveyed the layout. There is a bathroom down the hall with hot water. Grab me a pillow, por favor. Christina looked over the bed. She knelt down and pulled open a set of drawers under the mattress box. There's a change of clothes in here. She took out a silk toga, greenish blue like brushed out cyan. Too much for everyday wear. Christina pawed through the drawer until she found a white terry cloth robe. I love you. I really love you, Moore offered. I keep knowing less about whatever is going on, except I love you more with each passing moment. Lighten up. You are projecting. She gave him a playful slap on the cheek. I'm going to have a shower and then call for food. Warren wants us to be comfortable. You know him, don't you? He asked, running his fingers through the white bristles of a large hog-hair brush. Not just about him. Christina pursed her lips, tightening them against her teeth. I'm pantless and about out of patience. Any nastiness you're concealing has to come out now. These circles and circles are too convoluted for my bent, burnt, and fried mind. Tell me the truth, Margot Christina. Warren knew my father from Yale and worked with him on the Manhattan Project decades before my birth. In that I'm telling you, we all turn around being at war. A conflict between awareness of a being seen merely appearing and gazing at still in the first place indivisible invisibility, or now appearing by knowing out of it information of it as thoughts in a state of active denial. Thus, war in Warrena's case reflects that conflict or split, that prehistoric split in two hemispheres of the brain's neocortex, engineered by genetic engineering, facilitates his action. Page 222. Warren believes he engineered my creation over decades as a weapon to win this war by breaking up any potential inward long-term memory. Y'all might say that I am a product of messing technologies, liberated like the split atom, born to blast consciousness from its apparent prison, at attention captivated in any inward form. That engineering supernaturally, y'all, initiated in prehistory, is now revealed in plain sight of anybody of a being seen now as cause, all the y'all, a why-eye appearing and gazing it out as cosmic memory in denial of it, hidden in knowing out a projection of it, while deny DNA of every body. She finished with a laugh. In that I am dynamite, like Nietzsche said. In that I'm about blowing up the worlding of DNA. Denial, a while of DNA. Denial of a being seen in the first place, still that, now knowing out of it as cosmic memory, intelligence, consciousness of anybody. Perhaps, in that way, Warrena and I do serve the same race of a being seen appearing and gazing it out now inward, informing man as mind or why memory of it. It now knowing out of it, we all as a wheel turning inward in a race. The same XQ saw me now, a memory in toward twisting into a fate of a Y being seen merely appearing it, gazing it out now supernaturally as thoughts of it as knowing out appearing of it out in the doorway a while still in the first place. Paruma Samya now ask knowing out of it a supersonic whirling of a wide black eye as X-kying Y turning into or out of that wheel we all of fortune or misfortune, a being seen in word out as existing in formation still indivisible invisibility of any individual. The professor left the room, and a wave washing over him as he stared at the brick walls. Trace patterns of light drifted over the surface like torn clouds, sweeping the skylights above. The bricks squared the angles of his thoughts. He closed his eyes, letting a steady pulse of mental images wash over. The Illuminatus vision in a pyramid pyramid burned in his memory every day of his life. Something seemed to tell him, instead of merely appearing it, gazing it, at the eye on top of the pyramid, he need merely gaze, appear it, to realize, or are y'all eyes, a who or why of it. A why now, a why eye of a being seen of it appearing a gazing out in word. A being seen still in the first place. A being seen still in the first place. A being seen appearing a gazing it now, merely mirrored, reflected out in word as knowing, knowing out of it supernaturally as thoughts, a God essay to be of it informing him as he, thinking of himself looking at it. Now be that a why black eye awareness ask knowing out of it any or everybody that a why I wave our eye reality are radiating now supersonic or phonographic out information of indivisible invisibility by ask knowing it out of that awareness that I am is that I of I is it. Now still him out in her eye appearing gazing it are radiating information of that a why I being seen of that a zany seer sight seen ask knowing out anybody appearing of it. It struck him how anybody still now a being seen appearing a gazing in the first place merely appears information mirrored supernaturally as thoughts of it her him it out around knowing out of it a while. We all now supernatural, he mused. Still a being seen of that untouched word-free invincible invisibility, merely appearing a gazing out, supernaturally as thoughts, a God essay to be at attention, of a being seen now as anybody appearing out information mirrored in word memory. A being still stillness of that immortal immortality. A being denied, forgotten, or merely ignored now a while in favor as knowing out of it a suffering artist. Ain't that pitiful, he mused, if not so fracking funny in the absurd. He now wanted as that immortal immortality of a being to breathe life into the still image of Madonna, imagined by Warren or Christina, letting him out in her eye now, ask knowing out of it, y'all, a mirror imagination, run wild, racing on in an allegorical canoe, gliding down a swift river. In that he found himself again seeking inspiration in its creative waters. He tossed the tube of French vermilion on the easel's paint tray, touching the bandage on his leg, putting a fingertip of glistening blood to his lips. He tasted the saltiness of it, the ironic redness of it. He limped over to the bed and stretched out. Christina returned from her shower, working a thick towel through her wet hair. She had found a bottle of aloe vera gel and dabbed at the gunshot burn tattooed on her upper arm. Any inspiration, dreamer? Preparation. Should I draw or just paint? Just trying to let it flow. That's the problem. Trying. I shouldn't be trying. He played with the blood and paint on his finger. It should flow like an inward river scrolling out from the lap of a woman wearing a crown of stars and a crescent moon under her foot, like in Revelations. You said she had a veil behind her stretched between two pillars. Did she have a moon crown? You're right. A crown made of a crescent and an orb, but the crown changed to stars. The high priestess, she said, tossing off the towel. Stretching out on the bed beside him, she took one of his hands in hers. She is often confused with the Empress. That's reasonable considering they are one and the same awareness. Functioning literally, y'all, supernaturally or phonographically, informing of it in word as zany thoughts of it appearing and gazing out in different guises. Of here, her, black eye of everybody now projecting and knowing of it in imaginary worldings, of it to be perceived in word as cosmic memory. Warrena plans to cast me out as such an archetype, through which a YI being seen he plans now to wield, as knowing out of it everybody are ideating, perceiving inward chakra wheels turning, burning, searing into our creation, burning it, searing it black around, intent of intentionally, y'all, now no longer disregarding its indivisible invisibility. In that, y'all, will still be a being seen as indivisible invisibility out in her eye, a black Psi whole eye, felt, feeling, field of you touching without defenses. A touch of it touching on a being still in the first place invisibility without inward definition. In that, the or why, a theory or I all of a main meaning. Any meaning of it in word, a means of the definite article articulating articulation of a being seen indefinitely, indivisible invisibility. A YI of a being seen now, nothing in word, while felt, feeling, fielding a touch, touched in her eye, a black around beaming out of it, every body. Not too grandiose, she added, lifting her eyes to the cameras. More merely appearing off in space, now shrugged. So, on the one hand, you got, say, Venus in tight blue jeans, or on the other, Diana, cool, virgin goddess of the moon. The virgin and the harlot, he offered. What every man wants, y'all, in one woman. Hump black around, still a virgin. Christina turned on the computer and tapped the keyboard. Virgin mother or mistress whore, it's not informaz anything but a black Psi hole. Page 224. Moore could have sworn hearing black pussy hole, but heard in the dialectic as Brahmayonim. A source or why of anybody of inferior manifest Brahman. Our reality of it appearing out information of a being seen still in the first place indivisible. Beside how Pie now, pay attention out in her eye, out here in her eye of everybody. A power, Jesus say, portal out of it to be appearing a while of a potential. ABCs of it, bye. Baby, a being seeing Jesus, gravity going in and out, are ideating in her eye, a doorway, literally now out in word, wave, as zapping of it out or in or out of it. A singular direction of time now turn black around, out in, as leap into or out of a. Yoni Ellingham. Eve Ray presence in her, me as eyes on thoughts of it. She now a worlding of the dialectic pramanam. As a mean of sound waves, she not played the pasciencing whole scale of any human voice. As any wave means her eye of everybody, entrained, enchanted, enraptured Moore's entire field of view of Yadhe. El debatir di dialecto blazed in his memory. Now ask King of it why any knowing out of it anybody, anything, anytime, anywhere, merely supernaturally as any thoughts of it as any touch of it touching. Jesus, gravity weight of waiting period on any touching of the untouched word-free awareness of a being seen. Now ask knowing out of it a black around echo of it, any echo of a being seen now, a touching touch of it. More's just us, picking up a learning of the sense of a touch as a function of caution, coition, a Y as sex. Coition is any touch, now ask knowing out of it, touching as any thoughts of a being untouched still in the first place. Indivisible, merely supernaturally as any word thoughts of it touching on a touch of it. A being seen out in word informing it at attention, a binary of it, horizon, imaginary line between merely appearing, gazing it, or now knowing out of it, any appearing at it. That. Awareness of a being that which is, was, and ever I will be still merely everybody turning, churning, yearning, a searing black around into or out of everything. That black as ray, that black invisibility mirroring everybody as potential projection appearing out in her eye, a black psi hole, y'all out in a shout. Inward now, ask knowing out, ask King, as cosmic memory, consciousness, intelligence, superimposed supernaturally, y'all, as any thoughts, the hook of the Luke, twizzing toward axe kying, why are I flected reflection, in a beaming memory as thoughts of it in cosmic daylight. Do I now light here her energy are I flecting invisibility by psi power. Here now her supersonic willpower with covenant of a him freestanding still. The ark of the covenant of her him it, her me as try wise me, just us, her him it potentat, potential of a yi being seen in a array verse, Easter eye of her him it churning, burning our eye, turning into or out of it. The me just us y'all as coming black around in or out of her black eye. Psy hole. Margot Christina held a straight face before cracking herself up with gales of laughter. Even Eve, now as she spoke, still cracking up. Your gift is impregnating the work with that present, she got out with a giggle. Just what I thought. Warren has us wired into a private chat room for any requests we all in turn might have. In that I'm ordering food. How about kung pao chicken and wonton soup? Add spring rolls and a pot of green tea. Moore heaved himself from the bed and hobbled over to the easel. Delivery boy will be here shortly. How long do you need to rest? A few lifetimes, but screw that. I've been asleep too long. What the hell, I'm going to break in this virgin canvas. Maybe in that I am needing what Warren wants more than he does. He started squeezing paint. The canvas was large enough for him to move around on. You know, this virgin canvas is too large for just a portrait. I'll have to do your whole body. Naked? You can keep your ankle socks on. Remember Isis, the source for the Virgin Magdalene heresy of Christian lore? The professor spoke, stretched out naked under the terry cloth robe falling off her shoulders, propped up on pillows, one arm resting on an upraised bare knee. Isis, was able to impregnate herself with Osiris's, the great god king's seed, even though he had lost his penis in the battle with his brother Set. That is the original mythos of Immaculate Conception, of a God's only Son. Allegory for any creation of it, a being seen as mere mirrored potential. Now, our only Son, Horus, or our Eye of Jesus, our radiant center of our Jesus, our center of gravity, soul, our eye, being, in now a while radiating radiation of day, the white light of our only Son, burns more juice in a second than entire global energy output in hundreds of thousands of years. The unbroken cosmic loop, the art Kamayin Ablak around a while are ideating, perceiving cosmic memory. A Maz and I name for Isis is Mary. Sound like you heard it before? Virgin Mary. Mare I turning at black around into a being seen our ideance. Only Son? Let me see. He replied as he stroked paint rapidly over the gessoed canvas. He blocked in essential proportions of flesh and shadow or highlight, spreading beads of color visually mimicking patterns out in her eye, appearing Hermias duplicity, Hermias thoughts of it, Hermit, of a being color as a bending, blending it back with a palette knife. You just gots to believe. He pushed paint for another 20 minutes, then rejoined her on the bed, fingers reaching out to trace the ridges of her spine. He pulled the robe up to cut the chill on her shoulders and leaned in to kiss her neck. Laying back, still in his leather jacket and jockey shorts, he laughed. All I need is black socks and dark shades to make old-fashioned porn for the cameras. For a moment his memory slid to a girl wearing horn-rimmed eyeglasses and the bale of hay they had coupled on under the open Illinois sky. Coroner filming. Can you do the painting without having sex with me? Christina turned until her cheek flattened against her shoulder. The robe fell and she stood naked. Chilled air tightened her flesh. As she stretched, muscles corded in the backs of her thighs. She walked over to a high chair positioned between the bed and the easel. You have the legs of a dancer, Moore commented, as he spied a spiral-bound sketchbook on the bedstand. Page 226. He picked up the sketchbook on the bedstand with the pen, flipping it open. He found the pen in hand, moving over the paper with a mind or why of its own. Mostly from running, my father wanted me to be a dancer. Maybe he saw dance as a means to prolong my innocence. Tell me more about him and Warren, he asked, feeling the renewal, drawing on the word-free right side of the brain. Such a seemingly simple shift of attention, but one of freedom from inward captivity. He thought how, despite thousands of hours drawing of still, falling out into that inward deceit, now under the influence of the dialectic, that spelling seemed turning it into an inward release of it. Attention free of an inward captivity. Johnstone Warren, or Warrena, fashions himself a scholar. Warrena is the name given him by certain occult masters in the Black or White Brotherhood. My work is in the worlding of letters, incidentally mirrored his. He and my father were part of that fraternity unleashing the terror of atomic power. Some, like my father and the man who took photographs in the plane of the blast over Hiroshima, never spoke of the bomb again, ever. Warrena saw the bomb as an opportunity for global domination. The release of radiation over the following years was very profitable for him. His knowledge of mutation caused by exposure to radioactivity goes very deep. He used my father to create me. My father worked for Warren for 40 years. There is no question in my mind Warren was feeding him various chemicals, always testing his blood, always under Warren or Warrena's thumb. This fraternity or brotherhood sounds racist. Are you a member in good standing? We all appearing in or out of it, a singular indivisible body of we all of everybody experienced directly and periodically as leap black into a unconsciousness. A turning of it into or out of a black around as cosmic wheel race. A race of it while DNA. A race of a mythological channel of mere supersonic inward long playing phonographic akashic record of it as cosmic memory, consciousness, intelligence, of a being seen still in the first place now a while, ask knowing out of it time, space, a why of a being seen now, the two into eternally, y'all. As zany roll or roll, rotat, rotat, ion of a complete de-arcness. A de-arc perceived literally, y'all, encircling a black around of it. As leap black into a unconsciousness, now as to awaken aten, a ten. A by now, ray I as zany anybody now. Ask knowing out of it everybody, out in word form Oz wily while. of it out in her eyes, ion, beaming, beaming, cunning, wordship craft, worshipping, appearing of it out in her eye, on a mirror sea as of a being seen merely appearing, gazing it, at it, a searing of that race of man's mind or a why memory of it. More's inward hearing followed her eyes shifting from anybody as explaining of it into a why speak dialectic debate of a why I being seen merely appearing and gazing it still in the first place, or y'all the troubles of the mind appearing as explaining of anybody he flashed. As zany field of you, indivisible, invisibility, invisibility of its seer, a being seen appearing it, a gazing it now, ask no, knowing out of it, a wave ray body appearing inward in formation as zany thoughts of it, he now thought. Then return to merely appearing, a gazing it at the pen, tracing contours of it appearing ink as black, on white as explaining black around. Now, everybody, now a while, complete D-arc or perceived encirclement of any role or role played in the mirage of a mind mirrored in memory of a being seen still in the first place. What you think y'all see here now, this flesh, this womb, man's mind, is of such that I am conceiving out of it a fully recognizing of it now as a supersonic mirage, superimposed by a black power of intent of a being seen again. A being seen again. Again. Any appearing of it now as knowing out of it as cosmic memory in word over mind. Are y'all eyesing a being, beaming, beaming of it as any thoughts of it? Yet still now ask no, in moving of it as any denial of that motionless, indivisible, invisibility center of awareness, centered centrality. See, seer, sight, insight seen now out a while in that eye of I am is. Do you not think Warrena shares in me? Are y'all eyes zinging that awareness? Him discerning a being of it indivisible still? Now out in her eye, here her eye, Ma's eye of the nature of the ark, of a greater being as king of it, a greater mean, lesser, greater, a mean being as king of it, why as any darkness, the darkness now to be perceived, turning into or out of, as knowing out of it any or every body. A being seeing now, a complete darkness now to be perceived, turning into or out of the first place as zany mirrored body of it, while DNA, denial of a complete D-arc, R.I. turning now, encircling Ablac around as zany, no knowing out of it in her eye of every body playing out roles or roles of the arc, a turning into or out of a singular, indivisible, supersonic or phonographic black mirror, see as out in eye appearing, a gazing it at a mirage body, that I am now merely out information appearing in word as zany thinking. Any thin king, creator thoughts, supernaturally thoughts of a goddess, say, to be literally all in word art, are I reflecting it as cosmic microwave, black around echo as zany thoughts of it? Are I reflection in memory of it, now as zany body, imagined idol, appearing information out in a word ship, to be worshipped and believed in? She sat on the high chair with her back to him, light glancing off the contours of her naked form. He now, seeing the classic figure eight contour of shoulders, waist, hips, divided along a bony spine, the tail of a serpent, then, turning its head, more imagined a tongue slithering between partially closed lips, a snake eye on the tree of senses. He felt his attention drawn again to the sound of her voice. Thus our minds have not merged so much as remain out here in her eye as zany or ivre body, indivisible, invisibility merely appearing, information supernaturally, as zany thoughts of it. God, a goddess, a to be, a memory, imagined as cosmic body of a being seen merely appearing, a gazing it now a while, a zany inward formation of it a while, a cunning, cruel mean, between greater or lesser, wordship craft carrying attention off away while DNA. Periodically we all our eye turning black around into or out of ivre body. Singular black body of denial of a being seen complete. Completion. Completely indivisible invisibility of it. A black body experienced directly and periodically as leap black into a consciousness of it, a word free, untouched, awareness of it now to be a black body asking of it why, knowing out of it a gain. Now, out of it in word, our ideating, perceiving as cosmic microwave, a black around, echoing any asking of it why now, ask no, knowing a gain, and a gain of anybody, alternative, appearing information, inward, out in denial of it, disappearing as leap black into one indivisible invisibility, a being seen, appearing, a gazing at it, word free now, out, appearing of it, in day, the why now, light igniting, awakening in word, understanding the spelling of overmind, a goddess, a to be literally all informing any appearing information in word merely supernaturally.